The story of the young Saiyan God of Destruction continues as young Taima fights for his life in finding out the Pharaoh's secrets, along with the secrets of how to become a God of Destruction, as on the previous video, we've covered the concept of Taima fighting to protect all those that he loves, including finding out information on the Pharaoh and the secrets behind why he is on this planet, only to find out that everything he had been told ever since he was a kid to be an absolute lie, as we now draw ever so closer to Taima finally having to confront the Pharaoh. As once more before we begin, if you are new to this channel and have a love and passion for all things Dragon Ball and anime related, then be sure to go on ahead and smash that subscribe button and turn on all notifications by clicking on the bell icon to never miss a single upload. And if you guys love and enjoy Dragon Ball and cannot wait to see more, then be sure to go on ahead and slap a big fat like down below by giving this video a big thumbs up as we kick off the Dragon Ball Infinity manga chapter number 3 special, with Taima finally being able to transform into a great ape in hopes of saving his friend Russo from the wild jackals that he had originally been warned about. And I will say, the overall depiction of Great Ape Taima looks absolutely badass. This has to be one of the best Great Ape depictions I've seen in Dragon Ball fanfiction. As we see the other jackals begin to growl, Russo is just baffled as to what he's looking at, because keep in mind, the Beerus race, or these individuals that inhabit this planet, have never seen a great ape before. So as the jackals get ever so closer to Russo, what I really find fascinating here is Taima is able to control himself momentarily as he goes on ahead to strike the jackals in blowing all of them away completely. And as he does so, we notice how every single one of the jackals begin to retreat in fear, because now they've realized that even as a pack, they can't do anything to stop Great Ape Taima. But the thing is, as Great Ape Taima is beginning to rampage around, we notice how the city is beginning to observe this. And as Taima is rampaging throughout the desert, everywhere but the city itself, as he begins to slowly get closer towards the city, we notice how someone smiles in shooting a blast directly at Taima's jaw, connecting instantly, which causes Taima to not only fall down, but just get blacked out entirely. So this one singular shot that someone had fired knocked out Great Ape Taima in one blow. And as he goes down and the sun comes back up, Taima wakes up in what seems to be that of a prison. And as he wakes up, he goes on to ask, what happened? And as he tries to stand up, all of a sudden he feels something restricting him, sort of like chains. As we hear the clanking go on, Taima looks behind him as he notices his tail chained up as he struggles to stand back up. And as he notices this, he goes on to state, but then a figure emerges from the shadows, and having to tell Taima, don't hurt yourself, kid. And this individual completely dwarfs Taima. As we finally have the reveal of other prisoners within the cell, one of the prisoners goes on to state that chain had been enchanted by the Thoth. It is unbreakable. So Taima, as he's overhearing this for the first time, gets information that this chain is literally unbreakable, but Taima tries to break it anyway. He tries to pull it, he tries to bite on it, he's trying to do everything in his ability to break the chain that's bounding him against the wall, but of course, as quickly as he tries, he falls down to the ground and crying out, I give up! Which, as he does so, one of the Beerus race members goes on to tell him, you're going to give up that easy? Pathetic. As Taima goes on to point towards the bird prisoner, he goes on to respond, well, he said that the chain was unbreakable, so what's the point? As the secondary prisoner goes on to shout at Taima, that's the attitude of a weakling. Notice how I'm not chained up? Where there is a will, there is a way. Unfortunately for you, you don't have any will. You are weak, and this really irritates Taima as he goes on to respond, I'm not weak, as he proceeds to try to once again break the chain from the bound, but as he's struggling to try his best in breaking the chain, out of nowhere what Taima ends up doing is snapping off his own tail. And even though, yes, the chain is now gone, as an end result, Taima ended up losing his tail just because he put so much pressure in trying to break free from this chain that ended up costing him his tail. So in retrospect, that means that Taima can't transform transform into a great ape if the moon were to ever arise. And I love Taima's reaction because as he turns around, he's in complete agony. He's crying out, ow, 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 as the secondary prisoner goes on to state, that's not exactly what I had in mind, as this individual originally wanted to see Taima actually break the chains by himself. Taima goes on to ask, so, why are you guys in here anyway? As the first prisoner goes on to tell him, I worked at the docks trading enchanted items. I had a quarrel with one of Noob's men. He tried to steal from me, so they grabbed me up and brought me here. As Taima looks on over, he goes on to ask the secondary individual, and you, sir? As he goes on to respond, it doesn't matter why I'm here. I will say that I'm impressed by the will and determination you have shown. You might survive in here after all. As Taima gets infuriated, he goes on to ask, what am I doing here? I didn't do anything wrong. I was just trying to help my friend and I blacked out. So Taima doesn't know what's going on, but the secondary individual goes on to say to himself he doesn't remember. As he goes on to tell Taima, kid, you blacked out because you became a monster. No, a demon. Yes, and had I not stopped you, you would have hurt a lot of my kind, kid. I don't understand how someone like you can become a demon like that. As Taima responds, what? I don't understand. As the prisoner responds, it doesn't matter. Here is something you need to know. Noob now considers you a threat, and so you are now bound to this room. And if you want to eat, you have to earn it by participating in the arena. As Taima asks, arena? I don't really like fighting, although it is fun. As the prisoner responds, trust me, I can tell. And by the way, Raiki over there would have been more than happy to disenchant your chains. All you had to do was ask. As Taima goes on to reply, so how was I supposed to know that? As the prisoner responds, so do you know how to throw a punch? As Taima states, I guess. The prisoner continues, well then, show me what you've got. As Taima responds, alright, come on. And I love how Taima quickly rushes on in because as a Saiyan they enjoy fighting, they love to fight. And once Taima throws the first punch, I love how the prisoner is easily able to grab him by the wrist as he goes on to state my grip is superior and easily flings Taima up in the ground as he proceeds to tell him, you have a lot to learn, kid. A punch is a great weapon, but if your open palm and grip are more powerful enough, throwing a punch can be a huge mistake. Letting Taima know that not only is his grip and his palms, everything about him is weak, but he goes on to tell him if you can improve on this and if you can hone your craft, you could become very, very powerful. And as soon as Taima hits the wall, he goes on to cry out, you told me to punch you! As this individual is beginning to charge up for a ki blast, and in fact he does end up shooting it, but it barely misses Taima's skull. As Taima cries out, what was that? As the prisoner walks up to him, he goes on to reply, that is what's known as life energy. The energy that keeps our hearts beating and connecting to all living things. It can be manipulated into a weapon, or to make you a stronger warrior. I'm going to teach you how to do just that. As Taima goes on to reply, really? The prisoner goes on to tell him, I hate to admit it, but I see potential in you, and if you don't learn something, you're going to starve. I'm going to teach you how to control the force behind your movements with the utmost proficiency, and I'm going to teach you to utilize life energy as well as my personal fighting style. Bad palm. Are you ready, kid? As Taima tells him, well, I'm hungry. As the prisoner responds, you have to train to eat. Basically letting Taima know, listen, I'll feed you, but you're going to have to fight for it. As Taima stands back up, he replies, yes, sir. Ready? As we then see Taima step on in again in his attempts of fighting this individual, but then easily gets one-shotted as he goes on to tell Taima too slow. And as he uppercuts the poor kid, we notice how Raiki goes on over to heal Taima. As Taima stands back up, he goes on to pat himself and stating, I'm as good as new, as once more he proceeds to charge on in his attempts of fighting this individual, but he actually ends up receiving the exact same treatment that Beerus did in Battle of Gods and gets chopped right behind the neck. as the prisoner goes on to tell him too slow again. With Raiki having to meme in the background, he goes on to tell him, well, I guess it's time to heal him again. Okay, and that's the whole process. The process is Taima keeps getting healed as he tries to go on in to fight this individual, but at a certain point in time, he manages to connect an actual punch, which is good on Taima's end, but we also notice how Raiki goes on to cry out, whoa, he actually landed one, as the second prisoner goes on to state that's a solid one. Okay, as Taima once again swoops on in, he punches Taima so hard that he goes on to tell him, don't get cocky, kid, letting him know who's boss. And once he puts Taima down, we notice a struggle within Taima. He's trying to do his best to legitimately earn his spot in getting some food to eat. I love how only then Raiki walks on over and healing him once more, playing the role of Dende and having to state if I wasn't a healer, he'd be dead. As the secondary prisoner goes on to respond, this boy has 10 times the strength I had at his age. He has the potential to get you out of here like I promised. As Raiki goes on to tell him, well, let's hope. We oversee them in the prison once again as they're sitting around, they're waiting to see what's going to happen. As Taima once again goes on to ask, listen, why are you in here? As the secondary prisoner goes on to tell him, kid, if you must know, I'm in here for questioning Noob's divinity. I was in Noob's army. My best friend discovered the truth behind Noob's power and our history. I'm in here because I know too much, but I am also here willingly. As we have a little bit of a flashback, he continues, I could escape if I wanted, but my wife and my 2 boys would suffer the consequences. My wife tells me that one of my sons does nothing but sleep and gives all of his food to his brother, who eats away the pain of not having me there anymore. But they don't understand that I remain here to protect them. Now, just to let you guys know, this is supposed to be the father of Beerus and Champa. Keep that in mind. As of course he continues, Noob is too powerful for me to stop and is ruthless. Enough worrying about me, kid. Get your rest. You're going to need it. As the next day we see how Taima and the father of Beerus and Champa are training together. He took this kid under his wing. As Taima is obeying everything that he is being appointed to, the individual goes on to tell him you must increase your life energy slowly. As Taima states okay, and we see them having to spar, as once again he tells Taima not enough speed, position your hands like this, training him just like Master Roshi at some point had trained Goku. And what's most interesting is we slowly get to see how throughout time itself, Taima begins to grow older, grow bigger, as of course they're sparring within the prison. X amount of time has passed, as of course the individual tells him, Taima, looks like you are ready. As they both step outside, he goes on to tell Taima, you'll never be able to beat me like you did that weakling. As Taima goes on to respond, well, ever since I started the arena, you've refused to go all out against me, so I guess we'll never know. Basically poking fun at each other due to competition, but that's when Noob shows up. As he goes on to tell them both, I wouldn't be so sure of that. As of course, both of them end up bowing down to Noob. Noob goes on to comment, it's come to my attention that the Toth are up to something. My traders haven't heard from him in days. So I've decided the 2 of you will fight to the death. And the winner will go with your little bird friend. As Noob continues, oh, and kill Mirai as well as bring back the water I need. As the secondary individual, the father of Beerus and Champa, goes on to state, I will not harm the boy. As Noob goes on to state, oh, is that so? Well, it's either the boy or, did I mention, the loser loses the special lady in their lives. Brood, if you lose, your wife is gone. Taima, if you lose, your mother is gone. As Brood goes on to cry out, you monster! Noob continues, well, a monster. I may be, but your son is about to be an orphan if you don't win today. So, good luck. The match starts in a few hours. As Taima goes on to say to himself, what are we going to do? As Brood goes on to state, Taima, we fight. As Taima states, what? Brood goes on, I'm sorry Taima, but the mother of my children is in danger. I had hoped we could be comrades in the fight against Nu, but he has us right where he wants us. As the manga chapter slowly then comes to a close, we understand that these two are now forced to fight not only for their lives, but for the respective lives of the women in their lives. That means Taima's mom and Brood's wife. Now I will say, I love the overall concept of this dictator-like Pharaoh having to basically create an ultimatum for both Brood and Taima in fighting for their respective positions, but what I really do hope to see one day in Dragon Ball Super are the origins of Beerus and Champa, because even though this is a fan depiction of what could be or what could have been, I would love to know whatever happened to Beerus's mom, whatever happened to Beerus's dad, and that's why I really enjoy this, because it's a step back, predating the days of Planet Vegeta, predating the days of Beerus being in power, and that's why I can gravitate towards this, as I can't wait to cover the next chapter on this channel. So again, make sure you guys smash that subscribe button and turn on all notifications. You guys want to be notified whenever I drop a video by clicking on the bell icon. Slap a big fat like down below if you wish that something like this would be incorporated in Dragon Ball Super. Share your thoughts in the comment section below, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. Once more, if you guys are new to the channel, like I said before, smash that subscribe button, turn on all notifications, tune back in for the next video, and I'll be seeing you all down in the comment section below. Have a great day, everybody. Peace!
This is the Galactic Emperor of the Universe, and of course I'm here to tell you to subscribe to UnrealEntGaming.
Also follow UnrealEntGaming on these social media platforms to stay connected at all times. And if you don't, then very soon you will all be dead! Oh, did someone say UnrealEntGaming? Oh my god.
The fuck's up, on? Put on some clothes!
Well, why don't you put on any clothes?
What? I don't need clothes. Jesus Christ, that's huge! What, Broly?
Freezer.
Uh-oh.
Prepare to die!